At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic mashup episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts, Professor Chris G, and on the other line with me is my friend that's batting an average of 1-0. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing?
You know, I'm not too bad, other than the fact that it was a little warm today, and it's kind of trying to decide if it's going to storm now, so it's just kind of been all
over the
messed
place,
up.
right?
And it was that muggy kind of warm too. It wasn't just warm, it was thick.
Yeah. How did you go on your walk today? Did you sweat it out?
Think so. I said yesterday was the hottest day, and today, like I say, it's a different type of heat, because yesterday it was like legitimately like in the 80s, but it was sunny 80s and there was a bit of a breeze. Today it was just like 80 and it was just hot. Humidity and it was just ugh.
Yeah. It's almost summertime now. It's almost summertime. We got how many more days? So we got
a couple weeks, I think.
Yeah, 17 days until summer. So.
And then it'll be hot until September, probably.
Yup. But outside of that, I know people are kind of clamoring now. And they want to know, what the fuck did we just listen to last week? Doug, what the fuck did our audience listen to at the end of our episode last week?
Well, as long as you didn't forget to do anything, they should have listened to the trailer for the Pokemon Adventures manga audio drama that we are getting ready to put out on Patreon.
Your candy asses. Yes. I'm excited to release these, bro. And so people are probably wondering, I guess some of the common questions that we're probably going to end up getting is, what is this? So we're legitimately reading the Pokemon manga. We have people that are going to be doing voices for the characters in the manga, and we're going to make it into something that you can listen to as an entertaining episode in your head through your headphones or however you're listening to our show. And it's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be here on podcast form. Anywhere, it's going to be anywhere that you get podcasts. And it's going to be a weekly audio drama that we're planning on doing going forward. We're doing a lot of it on the back end, and hats off to you. You're doing Blue's character, and one of our good friends, Scotty, is going to be voicing Red in this.
Yes, and he's doing Red. He's doing Professor Oak.
Yeah,
he's doing
a handful.
The voice. He's doing the voice of Dexter. I mean, there's, I'll toot his horn because he's not here. There's been entire chapters where it's just been him.
Yeah.
And, like I say, my hat's off to him because,
it's not easy.
It's not easy. I mean, I'm sitting here playing the producer role, and I'm exhausted for him when he's finished.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and he is he seems to be enjoying the process. We get on to knock out a chapter or two when we can, and we're working our way through the first volume, and
Yes.
seems to be going well. I mean, you got enough together to put out that little teaser trailer.
Which wasn't really much on the teaser trailer, and it was kind of tongue in cheek because me and you agreed. We were like, how do we get the audience excited but not do too much? And that's kind of what we thought about. And I've sent you and Scotty like some audio clips. So I'm editing these together, everyone. So not only are they're doing the voices, I'm doing the editing, and we're trying something new, and we're not going to officially put it out until the full volume 1 is complete. I want everyone to know that it's getting there. It is getting there. It will be released sometime this summer. On the free feed, you're going to get these as one chapter per week is the way that we're going to issue them out on the free feed, which will be 17 weeks worth of content. Well, no, I would say 16 because I think the first week that we drop it, I'm going to drop the first 2 chapters on the free feed. So you get two nice chapters. But if you go onto our Patreon, I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to drop them in 2 parts. So you're going to get the first 7, and then the last. How many chapters are in volume 1?
14.
14. Yeah, you'll get the first 7, and then you'll get the last 7 probably a couple weeks after. And that way, if you're a subscriber in 1 month, the month that whatever month that we're putting it out, within a 4-week time frame, you should be able to listen to all 14 chapters as opposed to waiting 16 weeks, 4, 8, 12, so waiting 4 months to listen to all of volume 1. So that would be your incentive to come over to the Patreon so you don't have to wait. But I believe that's the way that we're going to do it. So if you're already subscribed, you don't even need to change a thing because it's already going to be included in your subscription. But if you're listening to this audio drama on the free feed and you're like, you know what, I want to hear more of this, just go ahead and come on over and subscribe. And that's all you'll have to do to hear the entire thing once we put it out. So, but yeah, it's coming along. It's really, really, it's really good. And hats off to everyone that's a part of this. That's making this thing come together because it's been a doozy. And it takes a lot of effort on everybody's part to make sure that this comes across as perfect as we can.
Absolutely. It's a total team effort. We're all pulling towards the same direction, and
yes,
I think y'all will be really satisfied with the final product.
Absolutely. And I do, and I can already see people might want to ask the question, okay, what about volume 2, volume 3? This is not going to be on a specific schedule. Those will be released whenever we finish those. So after we're done with volume 1, I'm not saying we're rushing right into doing volume 2 right away. We might give a small breather, but yes, as we end up recording, we will put out more and more of these audio dramas, but only once we have like a big batch done for you guys to be able to listen to. We're not going to put us on a week by week. Okay, we have to have this done every single week in order for you to listen. No, it's a project. We want it to sound perfect, and that's how we're going to be doing it. Don't you agree, Doug?
Yeah, no, that would be kind of crazy because there's already some weeks where we kind of have to scramble just in order to get episodes out. And if we were trying to put the audio drama hat on top of that. I mean, I will say we have access to a few more volumes on top of volume one. I'm not sure how many, but
Oh yeah, and even if you guys don't end up finding some later on, I have the complete series, so I can by any means like hand those over and we can figure it out. So
well, now I'm curious. Let me see if I can see how many chapters, how many volumes are in that link that I sent you.
so for to complete Red, I believe it's the first 6 or 7 volumes to complete Red story. But Red does come back later on, but not for a while. Not after you complete the first 6 or 7 volumes of
Okay.
yeah. So that's something to look forward to, everybody, and it will be coming out sometime this summer. So just be on the lookout, and when it gets closer, we will tease out a few more things. So don't worry. We just wanted to let you know what's kind of cooking in the background, and yeah, that's about it. But we do have a mashup that we're getting ready to go and do today, Doug. And these you were really excited to start some of these episodes because I personally believe not that the Indigo and the Orange Islands were good. I personally think that the Johto Journeys might be one of your favorite seasons from Pokemon.
Yeah, because you get into Johto, and in terms of the games, you're dealing with gold and silver, right?
Yep.
And I was heavy, into Pokemon by the time Gold and Silver came around. Gold and Silver, and then Ruby and Sapphire are like that's like my sweet spot. And like just kind of seeing the Pokemon that were introduced in these first 4 episodes that we watched. I mean, obviously not counting Cyndaquil, Totodile, and Chikorita because those are the starters. But like seeing Heracross, seeing Donfan, I'm sure there's a couple others that I mean, obviously you had the tease of the legendary Pokemon at the very beginning, but that's par for the course with Ash. He's always encountering some legendary Pokemon he might see at some point in a movie. These were just 4 really good episodes. The theme song is every bit of a banger as I remember. Because I was sitting there, I was getting ready to hit play on the first episode, and I was like, "What if it's not as good as What if it's not as good as I remembered it was?" And then, like, it was.
It was, and that I think I sent you a video, and it said something along the lines of, "Okay, we're starting up Johto. We need something for the intro, but nothing too crazy." And then we got this, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like that song slaps. I mean, I'm still privy to the original theme song, but it's a whole new world we live in, and it's just like, and then all the 3D graphics and all the new Pokemon that you're seeing on here, it slaps. And they made sure to get all these new Pokemon in this intro.
Yeah, so I mean, that's 3 theme songs in a row that have just been certified hits because obviously the original and then Orange Islands punches you right in the face from jump, and then
Yep.
once that hook of Johto gets in you,
You're done. So, but yeah, today we are going over the following episodes. We're going to go over Don't Touch That Dial, or translated from Japanese, Wakaba Town, Where the Winds of a New Beginning Blow. And then we're going to go over the Double Trouble Header, or translated from Japanese, The Rookie's Chicorita. Yeah.
They used up all their words in episode 1.
Yeah, they did. Let's see. The episode 3 is a Sappy Ending, or translated from Japanese, Crash, Heracros versus Kailios.
Kailios Pincer?
Yep. And then the last one we're going over is Roll On Pokemon, or translated from Japanese, Donfan's Valley. So,
Donfan is in the Japanese translation.
Yep.
I'll be dipped.
Yep, Donfan. So, these episodes, the first one we're going over, debuted October 14th, 1999, and here in the States, October 14th, 2000. The Double Trouble header debuted in Japan October 21st, 1999, and here in the States, October 21st, 2000. Literally a whole year apart from each other. Actually, all of these are. Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. A Sappy Ending debuted October 28th, 1999, and here in the States, October 28th, 2000. And Roll On Pokemon debuted November 4th, 1999, and here in the States, November 4th, 2000. That's crazy.
That is nuts.
Just a little bit. And then after this, it gets fucked up for like a week, because Roll On Pokemon and Illusion Confusion, which is episode 5, we're not going over that one. Both of those debuted here in the States on November 4th. So now we're like a week apart in all the rest of these going forward, all because they wanted to freaking debut it on a different day. Actually, the next few weeks we got, okay, so they were trying to catch up. So
right.
4 and 5 debuted on the same day, 6 and 7 debuted on the same day, and 8 and 9 debuted on the same day. And then so we must have been getting 2 episodes of Pokemon per day. Okay, yeah.
Well, more than likely, because you're still dealing with that WB block.
Yeah. So it looked, that's exactly what's going on here as I'm going down. So yeah, this was when you had that morning Pokemon episode at 7 a.m. and then you waited until like 10 or 11 a.m. to watch the next episode, and they blocked all those other cartoons in between it.
And I still don't understand why they do that. I mean, now if you do a block, usually it's back to back, so you get them all done in an hour. But it's like, no, you watch the first one, and then we'll leave you on a cliffhanger, and then we'll leave you sit there for 3 hours while you watch Batman and Freakazoid and Animaniacs might have been in there. Yeah,
and they did it so they could boost the ratings of the other shows to try to grab the kids. That's what Pokemon was. So it was a ratings catcher because everybody
because they had like Pikachu, and maybe at that point you had like a Totodile and a Cyndaquil running throughout the
commercial breaks,
like the in between shows, and it's like, oh, don't forget to come back at 11:30 or whatever
for a new episode of Pokemon. So I really want to know what the ratings for some of these were, but
that would be interesting to track down.
Yes, but yeah, that's kind of it. We're gonna get ready to start going through these episodes now. Out of these episodes, Doug, I do have to ask, is there a favorite episode out of the 4 that we're doing today?
Boy.
And I think I might know which one. I'm going to guess that it was episode 2, the Chicorita episode. Was probably your favorite.
Why? Because I like sports?
Yes, because you like sports.
Yeah, fuck.
Am I right?
I did like that one. I did like that one, but like at a certain point, you're sitting there and it's like, okay, so this is literally just 22 minutes of baseball puns.
Yeah.
But I did like episode 3, but that was cheating because it's like, oh, here's Ash's first catch of the Johto region. Like, so that would be like the trivia answer. Who was Ash's first Pokemon in Johto? And everybody would immediately probably go, oh, Totodile or whatever one of the starters he ends up getting first. Nope, he got a Heracross.
Nope. Yeah, I was about to say he got Heracross.
And of course, he didn't catch it. Of course, Heracross was like, I'll come with you.
He did catch it. Heracross.
He did not catch. Ash literally said, Heracross chose me.
I mean, so? But he still caught it. Was that not his Pokeball?
Well, he didn't catch it because the ball didn't even shake.
Yeah, it did.
It did not.
It did too. You just didn't see it.
Shenanigans.
It was off screen.
It was in his hand.
It went bloop, 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 bloop. Wouldn't that have been some shit if he would have caught Heracross or throw the ball at Heracross and then Heracross was like, nah, I'm just joking. It just busted out of the ball.
And just ran away.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's go ahead and start talking about the first episode that we're going over. The Don't Touch That Dial. Because this episode, we started it and they know how to grab you in Pokemon. Because when they started this episode, boy, there was a mist going around. We find out that the mist is a mysterious Pokemon because Ash has been having the group walk around in circles for a while.
Huh? What, Pikachu? Yeah, that branch looks familiar. Ash? You mean... Oh no, we've been walking around in circles all day! You said you knew where you were going and we're totally lost now. Where do we go? Well, if you're so smart, why don't you be the one to decide? That's a good idea. I'll find a way out of here.
And we find out that it's none other than Suicune. And boy, did they show Suicune and it's all glorified form. Just looking all sorts of majestic, right?
What, because I made a note of this, what movie was Suicune featured in? Because I know he was featured in a movie.
We did an episode with Ash's final Pokemon, and Go caught Suicune.
That's it.
Yes.
Because that was Go's like mission, right?
Yeah. So
that's it.
That was one of them, and he threw the Pokeball at Suicune, and he caught it.
That was it. And I know we had a discussion about Suicune because I had to have been like, why is Suicune so put on a pedestal? And you're like, well, he's a legendary. And then I think we probably had like a 15-20 minute discussion.
Yeah.
That's it.
So in this episode, so we're in these mashups. If you don't remember, everyone, we don't go scene by scene with these. So this episode, we had Team Rocket come into Professor Elm's office, pretend to be a Nurse Joy, and kidnap a Totodile that was in the episode. And this Totodile was supposed to go to a nice little trainer that's going to be starting her journey the next day. But Professor Elm was so entwined with his research that he didn't even realize that Team Rocket broke into his laboratory.
This is for the birds!
Is that you, Nurse Joey? Thanks for coming over on such short notice. I guess I should have called weeks ago, but I got caught up in my research project. You'll find the Pokemon we talked about running around the lab somewhere.
Pokemon?
Is there a problem, Nurse Joy?
Not a problem in the world.
Jessie!
Oh, just be quiet, I'll handle this!
Yeah, he didn't even look up from his machine. He was just like, "Yep, nice to see you again, Nurse Joy." Meanwhile, freaking Totodile has latched itself on Jesse's hair and is, not budging because you're dealing with a baby Totodile, and they see something, they're like, "Oh,
And it is a baby Totodile, and they made sure that you knew that because he wanted Totodile to get a routine done to make sure that it's nice and healthy for the trainer the following day.
yeah." So seems like they do things a little bit differently than the Kanto region because
I wouldn't say that. Professor Oak probably does the same thing.
oh, you didn't get the impression that it was basically everybody shows up at Oak's lab on this day and takes a Pokemon?
Well, yeah, everyone shows up and takes a Pokemon, but oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So you're saying that they come on different days to come and get
Yeah,
the Pokemon.
because they said on a couple of occasions, well, we need to find this Totodile so this trainer can pick it up tomorrow.
Yes. And boy,
Which also means that she had already selected, but apparently still had to dot some I's and cross some T's.
yeah. So Team Rocket comes in and they kidnap this poor little Totodile, but Totodile kind of goes with them willingly because one, Totodile liked Meowth's tail and Totodile liked Jesse's hair. So Totodile just went straight with Team Rocket and didn't even put up a fight at all.
Mm-mm.
And let's see, we have our heroes arrive at New Bark Town. Ash and them, they go over to the Pokemon Center, of course, so that they can go there to heal their Pokemon, get some nutrients, get all of that good. And Nurse Joy's not there.
And I was going to say also, Ash needs to register for the Johto League.
Yes. Something he didn't have to do in the Kanto region because he was from the Kanto region. But with him going to a brand new region, not only does he need to register for the Johto League, but he has to register his Pokédex as well and update it so his Pokédex knows all of the Pokemon that are in the Johto region.
Which makes sense. And there's a really funny line because he goes full Ash Ketchum. He's like, "Oh, get ready. I'm going to, catch every Pokemon I see." And he goes to just start running. And Brock's like, "You idiot, you got to register." So he's like, "I'm going to go register." And then he's all hype. And then he has like a little moment. He kind of whispers, "Do you have any cash in case they charge a fee?" And they do the anime, blah.
You don't pay for anything, silly. I still think Ash is probably a millionaire at this point.
I don't know. If he had to pay for shit, he might. He wouldn't have made it through Kanto if he had to pay for shit.
That or having Brock by his side and having an actual gym leader has a lot of perks, and maybe Brock paid for a lot of stuff.
I just imagine it's like, all right, I'll get this one, but you have to pay me back at some point. No, I got you. I'm good for it. I'm writing it down right now.
The old Ash Ketchum line. But okay.
Come to find out by the time they get back to Pallet, before they take off again, he owes them like $50,000.
For real. So this part I actually really liked because so later on in the episode we come back to Professor Realm's office and he is getting his ass chewed out by Nurse Joy. Nurse Joy is like, "How could you not look over and see that you were not talking to me? How could you not see? Now, what's going to happen when this little girl comes over here to get her Pokemon? What are you going to end up saying to this little girl? And he has a smart ass comment. He's like, well, I was looking at this thing on this little crystallized little chip. And Nurse Joy's like, will you stop making excuses? So, Doug, I'm not going to take all the fun. Do you want to go over some of these scenes or some things that you saw maybe up to this point or just a little after this point?
So, yeah, I mean, you had the traditional Ash and his crew are main characters, so they just waltz right past a freaking
investigation.
Don't even think twice about it. Ash is like, well, it's my show, so I should be involved. Brock
is I was about to say Brock is horny.
He's insanely horny. I mean, it's, there was a couple episodes in Kanto where it was bad, but it was not this bad.
They said, okay, so Brock's coming back for a whole nother season. Let's juice him up like 10 times.
No, yeah, he was trying to give his juice away.
Yeah, he was.
We get properly introduced to the starter Pokemon of Johto because we see a cute little Cyndaquil that Professor Elm is holding, and we see a photograph of Chicorita, but it's okay because we full on meet Chicorita in the next episode.
Yep.
And, obviously we met Totodile because that's who we're looking for. And Totodile was my guy.
I know he was.
Surprisingly.
He turns into a nice little alligator, like a legit full-blown alligator.
Yeah. And so, we compare, well, in Pallet Town, we get Squirtle, Charmander, and Bulbasaur. And it's like, well, that's nice. Ate up a couple seconds.
I was about to say, why did they have to tell us that? Unless, well, just like you said, every episode is someone's first episode.
Yeah, exactly. And we see that Misty is making friends with the Cyndaquil. Once again, kind of implying that these starter Pokemon are babies because this Cyndaquil is just loving being tickled. And Togepi's sitting there going, I'm still sitting... But Togepi's having a good time, so it's okay. We kind of get a little impression that this Nurse Joy is maybe crushing on Professor Elm, even though he's like totally wrapped up in his studies. So I'm like, oh, poor dude. Got a girl on the hook, doesn't even know it. And, obviously... Ash takes it upon himself to be like, well, I'll help everybody find this Totodile because it's my show. And this tripped me up.
What's up?
Because I was like, he doesn't get Totodile this soon.
No, he doesn't.
Because I was like, because they're like, oh, what if it, what? And then my head was like trying to finish the episode, like, oh, the trainer who's Totodile or who's supposed to have Totodile doesn't show up and it wants to go with Ash because Ash found it's like, no, that doesn't happen.
No,
which I was glad about because they easily could have, because you could have had a line from Elm like, well, it looks like this Totodile is attached to you, and it's like, well, that sucks for the trainer who was supposed to get their first Pokemon tomorrow,
right?
But that didn't happen, thankfully.
Chikorita is gone, and we find out why Chikorita is gone because that trainer already left.
Yes. And that's not the same Chikorita that Casey has, right?
No, that is her.
I didn't think so. That
is it.
Okay.
Yeah, they say in the episode she's just starting her adventure. We'll get to that in episode 2, but she just got that Chikorita.
Son of a bitch! I didn't even make that connection.
Yep. So that's why Chicorita's not here, and Totodile and Cyndaquil still are, because their trainers haven't arrived yet.
Oh. Well, how about that?
That helps you out a little bit, doesn't it?
How about that? That's awesome. I just thought it was random that she just happened to have a Chikorita.
No. Yeah, she just started her journey. So and she kept calling herself a rookie, and Ash kept saying, "Yeah, I'm this seniored Pokemon trainer now." But yeah, all right, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So as we're going through this episode, we end up seeing that one of the detectives walks over to Officer Jenny and brings over a stone because Team Rocket stepped into wet cement, and they're like, we carved this out of the wet cement, and we believe that these people have Totodile. And then you just see Jesse and Meowth and James just running because Totodile has attached itself to Jesse's hair, and Jessie can't get it off, and she's trying her best to try to get it off, and it's not working. And our heroes end up coming into the frame, and they're like, "There's Team Rocket, there's Totodile." And and Team Rocket's doing their motto, and it's funny because they do the motto with Totodile attached to Jesse's hair, and they're like, "You stole Totodile," and she's like, "I didn't steal anything. Totodile came with me, and now I can't get Totodile out of my hair." And she's like, "Look," and she's trying to like whip it out of her hair, and it's just funny because we get a montage of all these Pokemon. So Ash sends out his Bulbasaur to attach himself to Totodile, and he's like pulling, and Jesse's like, "That's my hair, all my split ends. Oh my god, stop pulling." And Ash finally gets Totodile back in his arms using his Bulbasaur, and Jesse's like, "Oh, my hair," and Meowth goes in and starts freaking scratching her in the face, and he's like, "You let go of that, Totodile. That was supposed to be for the boss." Blah, 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 blah. And then Jesse just full blown just fucking punches the mess out of Meowth, knocking Meowth out, and now Meowth is attached to Jesse. I thought that was pretty funny, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel bad for Team Rocket because, like, it's like, okay, this is a new season, a new area, and like the first episode, like Team Rocket's already a bunch of.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's how they're gonna be in every single season going forward until we get to like Black and White again.
Yeah, Black and White. They decided to all of a sudden have brain cells.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we have a nice scene of Officer Jenny and Team Rocket battling, and Ash sending out all of his Pokemon and getting Team Rocket to blast off again. And we have a nice scene of Pikachu, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charizard just like right in the frame, and they look right over at Team Rocket, and they're like, "Do you really want to fuck with us?" And Team Rocket's like, no. And Totodile, being a little level 5 Totodile, does its water gun on Team Rocket and blasts them off. How weak is freaking Team Rocket?
I'm telling you, man. They apparently they could get beat by preschoolers apparently, because yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That Totodile
is a baby Totodile.
And I don't even think it should have water gun. I don't think you get water gun right off the rip, do you?
No, you don't. But I mean, I guess with Totodile already learning water gun, maybe Professor Elm helped out this Totodile. I have no freaking idea.
You know what?
What's up?
I'm gonna kind of rationalize it as because you and I were talking yesterday. I can't remember if we were on the show or if it was either before or after we hit record because we were talking about the game and it's like okay, so you start at level 5 but you win your first battle and you immediately go to 6.
Yes.
So in my head, that Totodile had been out and about and kind of got exposed to
Real
kind of the
life.
elements, and maybe it got a level or two just from running around with Team Rocket.
You know what? That would be the new trainer's luck of getting a Totodile that's been trained a little bit. But could you imagine the trauma that Totodile probably went through? Like it thinks in its head that it's going to get a new trainer all the time because that's what it's been exposed to already.
Well, but crucially, Totodile has not been caught.
True.
Because this entire time we've seen Totodile, we have not seen Totodile come into or come out of a Pokeball.
That's right. Well, it has to have been caught because Professor Elm has to give it over to a trainer.
I understand that, but well, then how does that work when you start a game? Because technically, Professor Oak has to give you the Pokemon.
Yeah, but they're already inside of the Pokeball.
Right, but what I'm saying is we haven't seen Totodile interact with his Pokeball in this whole 22 minutes or whatever.
You know what? You're not wrong.
He was hanging out in the lab, and this whole time he's been on Jesse's hair, and I just paused it at where the hell am I? 2:32, and he just asked Nurse Joy for uppies. So
Yeah.
he has yet to interact with a Pokeball. So I imagine when his new trainer shows up tomorrow, she'll be like, Totodile return, and he'll be like, hooray!
I finally get to sleep inside of my Pokeball.
Which apparently, from going through Horizons yesterday, we find out are like luxury studios.
Yes. So, okay. But we end up ending this episode with Ash talking to Professor Oak, telling him that he made it over to the region. Having Professor Elm start talking to Professor Oak again to kind of catch up on things. Ash finishes registering for the Johto League, and off he goes onto his journey. He gets no new Pokemon. Honestly, Ash probably could have run through a lot of these gyms by using a lot of his first gen Pokemon, and probably didn't have to struggle as hard as he's going to in some of these episodes.
Well, so I'm trying to think here, and I didn't really put this together.
Okay.
So in this episode, we see Pikachu,
Yes.
and we see Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and Charizard.
Yes.
So he's got 4 Pokemon. So if we use the traditional 6 Pokemon at a rip, he's got 2 spots. In episode 3, he catches Heracross, so he's down to 1 spot.
Yes.
But then again, I think we have to have the discussion of, does Pikachu count?
Yes, Pikachu does count because he still has Pikachu's Pokeball. And he's going to end up getting rid of Charizard at some point because Charizard's going to go over to that Dragon Valley.
Right.
And then he's going to be getting rid of Squirtle pretty soon because Squirtle's going to be going to the to that academy place with all the other Squirtles and War Turtles to be a fireman.
Right.
So that's going to open up 2 more spots. One for Totodile, one for Chicorita, and he still has 1 spot open as well for Cyndaquil.
And I was going to say he's got to replace Charizard, and it wouldn't be an anime if Ash Ketchum didn't luck into all 3 starters.
So
Pisses me off. The only way we could do that in the game is by freaking getting a Ditto and the
And having fun.
and having fun, basically. Well, don't say it like that because people are going to think we're sick.
Well, that's how they did it.
Well, you know that and I know that, but somebody might not know that.
Well, you see, people. But yeah, that was the first episode. That's Don't Touch That Dial in a nutshell. And nice play on words because dial is Dile and totodile and all that good stuff. So, but yes, now I'm gonna have you start this next episode, bro, with let's see, the double the double trouble header. And I'm gonna have you start this one because this was a funny and good episode.
Yes. So if Pokeflix would cooperate with me, I was smart enough to mute the intro because that intro hits you in the face if you're not careful.
I know, right?
It might have gotten through a little bit on the first one, but
Not that second one, boy.
yeah, you catch me slipping.
But here I can start it off. So we start off.
Yeah, if you could start it for me,
We start off with our heroes. They're leaving New Bark Town, and they're on their journey over to the first Pokemon gym, and they come across a young little girl, and she's training her Chikorita on the field. By having Chikorita swing its leaf around on its head, and that's where we finally get Chikorita. We find out that she has just gotten this Chikorita, and Chikorita is now getting ready to battle a Rattata, and she's calling out Tackle and trying to weaken up this Rattata, and she has Chikorita go in and just tackle the mess out of it. She takes her Pokeball, she winds it up, she throws it like a baseball, and in goes Rattata. And she's in some funky looking outfit, and if your feed is good now, bro, I'll let you go ahead and start talking about what's going on here.
yeah. So, this trainer kind of gets the shaft because, I mean, obviously she has Chikorita, but and we find out that it's not her first catch. Her first catch after Chikorita must have been a Pidgey.
Yes.
Because we'll find out here in a second. But like, I was trying to figure out what the equivalent should have been. Like what were the
What was the
What were the
equivalent of a Pidgey? It was Hoot Hoot.
a Hoot Hoot? Thank you very much. So I mean, it should have been a Hoot Hoot and
Sentret.
well, see, there you go. You knew what I was asking for, and
Yep.
you know, no, you get a Pidgey and a Rattata. But she realizes that she's been watched this whole time, and she gets up ahead of steam and she runs to Ash, and you think, oh my God, she's gonna hit him or she's gonna, but we find out that she's in love with Pikachu because it's yellow.
Yes.
And
why is yellow her favorite color, you might ask, Doug?
because she roots for the Electabuzz baseball team. And she says her dream Pokemon lineup is all yellow Pokemon, and we get this nice little screenshot. And if I can find the right spot, because it's obviously she'd like an Electabuzz. There's an Elekid, which I think is our first like proper introduction to the pre-evolutions.
Yeah, a Beedrill.
A Beedrill.
And Electabuzz.
Oh, so that was it. Okay, cool.
Yep. Pikachu, Electabuzz, Beedrill, and Elekid.
And obviously, I mean, it would be silly if she didn't include Elekid and Electabuzz because that's like her favorite mascot.
Yes.
But she's like, oh, it's an honest to goodness Pikachu because, Kanto specific. And Ash is an idiot.
Why is he an idiot?
Well, not an idiot. Not an idiot. He's just a jerk. Because...
Are you talking about the battle?
I'm talking about the battle.
Oh, geez, yes. He wasn't that. This was a dick move. But honestly, this is some shit I would fucking do.
I mean, but
okay, I'll help you out here. This little girl gets so mad, and she's talking about the Electabuzz baseball team, and Ash is like, yeah, they're the worst baseball team ever.
The Electabuzz will get creamed by teams like the Magikarp and the Starmie.
You quit saying bad things about the Electabuzz. They're gonna beat everybody.
The Electabuzz couldn't beat an egg.
Oh, yeah? And what about all the great hitters that are on the Electabuzz?
Those guys aren't hitters. I've seen better swings on a playground.
And he's just saying all these smart ass comments to this girl. And
he's getting his zingers in because Misty made a meal out of busting his chops every chance she got, and he's just happy because the shoe's on the other foot for once.
Yeah, and so he's sitting here getting all his one-liners in and getting this little girl so mad. She's so pissed off. And she's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to Pokemon battle you. And he's like, okay, fine. And she's like, I have a star team, and you know what? I'm going to beat you. And so...
It's a 3-on-3.
Yep. So she sends out Chicorita. And then Ash is like, you know what? All right, fine. So he said, well, who does he send out? He sends out Charizard. And this little girl. And so she sends out Chicorita, and he tells Charizard, okay, just be easy on Chikorita. Just do a nice little Ember attack. And Charizard burns Chikorita's leaf on her head to a crisp, and Chikorita passes out. She sends out Pidgey, who we find out was her first Pokemon, to go in and use Quick Attack on Charizard, and literally bounces right off of Charizard's belly. And
bounces out just thunk.
And knocks itself out. And then we get Rattata, and Rattata goes in for a tackle, and Rattata, I think, broke its damn neck when it ran up against Charizard and freaking lost. And I'm just sitting here, and as I'm watching this, I was like, this is hilarious. This is funny. And this little girl, who's a brand new Pokemon trainer, might I add, everyone, she's brand new, and she is so defeated because Ash chose to use his level 50-60 Charizard against...
I would say comfortably 50, yeah. I was actually going to say that at some point during episode 1, but we moved on. But yeah, it has to be 50 at this point.
Yeah. So Ash used his level 50 Charizard against a level 5 Chikorita, a level 3 Pidgey, and probably a level 2 Rattata.
Oh, come on. They had to at least be level 5.
Nah, I doubt that, but I'll help you out even more. Rattata hasn't even been to a Pokemon Center to heal itself after fighting Chikorita. And lost.
Well, that's true. That's true. He had been in that Pokeball for maybe
5 minutes.
15 minutes at that point.
And this little girl is so mad, and she just storms away and just runs away, and she starts thinking about how she's gonna let down her whole city and her friends already, and she's just starting off becoming a Pokemon trainer, and that's where Team Rocket gets their grimy little hands on her. So I'll let you kind of tell a part of that story, bro.
Yeah, so basically, according to Team Rocket, they're trying to sit there and hype her up because Ash broke rules because, he used a Charizard on a new trainer and he should know better, which,
He should.
I mean, they're not wrong, And, they say, oh, he's notorious for doing that crap and, somebody ought to teach him a lesson. And, we can see that you're spirited and we know that, if you hung in there and if you had some proper training and you had some of Team Rocket's tricks, you could be right in there. And Casey is so defeated, she's kind of like, yeah, I could, if I had a fair crack at it.
I would have been perfectly fine over there.
She gets up the courage and she goes and finds him, and we have a flashback of, I can't remember if this was before or after she runs into Team Rocket, but we see her getting her like royal send off and everybody's got the Electabuzz gear. So we kind of see like why her head is so
big,
inflated.
Yep.
Because it's like my entire family is counting on me and I just got housed. It's like, yeah, you got housed, but you got housed with a Pidgey and a Rattata you've had for 5 minutes. And a Chicorita who hasn't even had time to get the good attacks yet.
It knows tackle, sand attack, and vine whip.
And vine whip. But she's like, I'm going to go find that Ash Ketchum and I'm going to get him. And, Team Rocket's trying to butter her up because they're wearing Electabuzz gear as well. And, pardon me. So she finds him and she's like, I want a rematch. And they're on like a baseball stadium. And there's a mechanical Electabuzz cheering section.
Which is going into the Team Rocket budget.
I mean, what is the budget? I mean, I feel like those three eat up easily over half of the budget without even thinking about it every day.
Yes.
So this time, Ash chooses Pikachu because why would you go with what worked the first time? And Pikachu gets a dose of Chikorita's like sleep powder, and Ash is kind of like, well, isn't that just nice? And he's kind of feeling warm and fuzzy. And then Chikorita comes in and actually hits a tackle, and
I do think it's pretty cool that Team Rocket's looking on and they painted their faces blue to go so they can look through the scoreboard and not get noticed. I did think that was a nice little touch.
They're literally blending into some zeros on the scoreboard, and they're talking about rooting for the underdog, and even though they're the heels basically.
Yes.
And, we see that Casey's got some mojo,
and we end up, and we do end up, so after Pikachu gets tackled on by Chikorita, we have Team Rocket come out and they're like, okay, this is a good time to capture Pikachu now. And this is where they start trying to steal Pikachu. And this is where Casey, that's her name, right? Casey? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where she finally finds out that Team Rocket are bad guys and that she has been tricked. Right, Doug?
She has been duped because she wouldn't know any better. I mean, and, obviously Ash and the crew are over it because they're like, we went to a whole different region and we still can't get away from y'all. And basically it ends up being a team effort. Casey and Ash kind of, I'm going to charitably say, combine their efforts, even though it's, I mean, let's be real, it's the majority of Ash. I mean, yeah, Chicorita throws her hat in the ring a little bit, but it's basically, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Rattata, and Pidgey, and Chikorita. I mean, and it's not fair. Well, and it's Chikorita at the end because Team Rocket actually has Pikachu and Chikorita, and if Team Rocket wasn't so concerned about spiking the football, they actually could have gotten away. I mean, I know spiking the football, I know that's another, we're mixing sports metaphors, but
just a little bit, but it's all good.
But yeah, if they weren't so concerned about gloating, they could have gotten away. And Team Rocket tries to turn a couple of pitching machines against them, and Casey's dodging the balls to the best of her ability, but she takes one to the knee, and Ash is like, "Hang in there,"
Yeah, because she's hurt, but
yeah,
what were you saying?
I was gonna say those Pokeballs, those baseballs are coming in at a decent clip.
Yeah, they are. So
and.
As these baseballs are coming in, they go in to try to save Chikorita and Pikachu because Jesse and James have taken them, and it's at this point that the machine that's throwing all these Pokeballs, even their cheering section starts rooting against them, because at first they were saying gotta hit them all, and then now they're like gotta dodge them all. As all the balls are just flying towards Team Rocket. And the only reason that their machine is broken is because they had to be greedy and try to grab the remote from Meowth, even though Meowth was the one that was supposed to be using the machine. So they're fighting over the controller, and the controller breaks, and then all these baseballs just start flying everywhere. And it's to Team Rocket's detriment, like it normally is. And let's see, Pikachu and Chikorita do a tackle attack on Team Rocket, and Team Rocket goes flying away. And that was basically it. We come to a fork in the road afterwards because it's nighttime now, and Casey's going one way, Ash is going another, and they say maybe we'll meet up again one day. No, you won't.
I was going to say, and this is the part where I ask somebody who would know if they meet again, and you tell me they don't.
Nope. At least for what I know or what I've seen. But
I mean, they had a potential. As Ash was wrapping up, they had a potential. He could have met Richie again. He could have,
especially Richie.
He could have met Casey. He could have met, what was the kid? Not the kid. I'm trying to think. He had an unofficial gym. AJ.
Yep, AJ.
He could have met AJ. We could have found out that he actually became like a.
He should have
honest.
He should have faced some of them in the Pokemon League.
Yes. And I mean, we could have had flashbacks, and we could have said, "Oh, I remember him when this, that, and the other thing." But no. See you down the road. No, you don't.
Nope. But yeah, that's how we end up ending this episode, and we start going straight into the next one, a sappy ending, Doug.
Ha 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 ha.
And this one is focused around Heracross. We start this episode with Ash coming across a whole bunch of Heracross on a tree eating a whole bunch of sap. And I'm sorry, if I came across that tree, I would think that tree looks disgusting, and I'm just walking the other way. Cuz I don't like Heracross.
You don't like Heracross? Well, okay. Heracross wasn't my guy either, but I had to complete the Pokédex.
I mean, yeah, we had to complete the Pokédex, but Heracross just looks gross. It's just, I mean, maybe I'm turning into Misty when I see Heracross, but Heracross just kind of creeps me out a little bit.
Oh, ain't nothing wrong with it. It's just a beetle.
Exactly. It's a fucking beetle. And it's a beetle
Oh,
that
come on.
walks that's just as tall as Ash.
Oh, you be nice.
But you come across a whole bunch of Heracross that are eating some sap out of the tree. Ash is like, you know what? I'm going to sneak up behind one of them and I'm going to catch it. And you have this guy come out and say, well, you can try to catch it. And
Did you catch what this guy's name was? It made me laugh too hard.
no, what was his name?
His name, because he's in the forest, right?
Yes.
His name is Woodruff.
Woodruff. Okay.
It made me laugh too hard. I had to stop the episode.
You're like, no, they didn't. Just call him
I
Woodruff.
was like, that's fucking Woodruff.
And Woodruff is over here and he's telling us, he's like, yeah, you can catch one of these Heracross, and by gosh, I mean, you can, but I just want to tell you, if you do, you might be hurting this forest a little bit more. And he goes into this whole thing about the circle of life when it comes to the Heracross. But
I call shenanigans on that.
why?
Because if that's the case, then why would you ever catch any wild Pokemon?
That's true.
And I mean, think about it. We come to find out that Ash basically cleaned out the Safari Zone of all those Tauros. And nobody said boo to a goose on that, other than the fact that he got a shotgun to the head.
You stealing my Pokemon, boy?
I'm trying to think, like... I mean, yeah, obviously, like, Charmander's fine because Charmander was abandoned. Squirtle was a part of a street gang. Bulbasaur could have protected the forest when Ash caught him, but he wanted to go with Ash.
Yeah.
You know. Butterfree just evolved from a Caterpie, and I mean, if you're telling me that taking a Caterpie messes with the ecosystem, I call shenanigans on that. I mean, so maybe I'm talking myself out of, well, no, I'm talking myself into my argument more.
Maybe just a little bit, but
You know, yeah, I mean, if his intention was actually to clean out all the Heracross from that tree, maybe, but I think he would have just been happy with one of them. But he did say, I'm going to catch those Heracross, so I don't know.
so we find out after going through the whole circle of life thing that these Heracross are actually hurting. I mean, they're not hurting, but they're being greedy. So the trees that they're sucking the sap out of is supposed to be for all the Pokemon that are around here. But you see a nice little Butterfree come over and it's like, ooh, some food. And Butterfree tries to go over and eat some sap. And out of nowhere, Heracross just like headbutts it out of the way and is like, no, that's mine. And you just...
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, because we find out that Butterfree couldn't actually access the sap, like get into the sap. So Heracross kind of got... It's like opening a cut when you're wrestling. Like Heracross got the wound started and then got its fill, and then Butterfree came in and kind of cleaned up the scraps. So it did get scraps. So yeah, I mean, you're right in that aspect, because Butterfree kind of got the leftovers.
Yeah. So, and then you have all these Pinsir come into the frame, and Pinsir's moving the Heracross out of the way, and they're like, no, this tree is mine now. It's mine. And it becomes this whole thing where the Pinsir are running the Heracross away because Heracross are too scared to go up against the Pinsir.
Heracross, we find out, are pacifists.
Yes. And one of the Heracross couldn't get away quick enough, and it starts getting attacked by all the Pinsir that are coming over to this tree. And it takes Ash and his Bulbasaur to like vine whip all these Pinsir off of the damn Heracross. I mean, if this was me, I would have started catching these damn Pinsir, but that's just me.
I would have caught a Pinsir, and I don't know if I would have caught that Heracross.
No, I wouldn't have caught that Heracross because that Heracross is showing that it's weak. Why do I want you?
Well, you don't. Ash did, because he said, new Pokemon.
It's my Pokemon.
And thinking about it, and I mean, I know I shouldn't keep going back to episode 1. I'm really glad he didn't try to put his foot down and say, well, I've been with Totodile all day.
I can take this Totodile now.
I could take this Totodile and nobody would be any the wiser, except for the poor girl whose first Pokemon it was supposed to. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'll keep going. I'll quit going back. I promise. It just kind of...
It bugs you.
Ash bugs me. Ha!
But Ash saves Heracross. Heracross from all the Pinsir, and he starts going on this nice little walk with Woodruff as Woodruff is telling him about the area. And Brock is like, hey, don't look behind you, but I think we have something following us. And of course, Ash is like, oh, it is. It's Heracross. So Heracross is following them on their journey. They come across a specific not a fork in the road, but they come across a bridge that was perfectly fine according to Woodruff last week. And this week, the bridge is all broken and it's fallen through. So there's no way from one side to the other. But Heracross is like, the hell there's not. And this Heracross freaking takes a tree and pushes it and makes a bridge out of a tree. And oh my gosh, Misty almost dropped her damn Togepi off of this damn ledge because she didn't want to go across. And Togepi's like, oh, we'll be fine. And why don't you tell what happens here, Doug?
Well, yeah, and you're 100% right. She would have been, because we've found out that Togepi is fearless.
Because it's a baby.
Because it's a baby. It doesn't know any better.
So Togepi goes and is walking on the tree, saying, Misty, don't be scared, let's go. And Togepi's dancing on it, and Togepi misses a step and literally starts to roll off the tree branch and almost hurt itself by falling all the way down into the water. So Misty has to run over, grab Togepi, and she's at this point, she's like, well, I'm already here, so I might as well continue to go. So she doesn't want to cross this tree trunk, but she has no choice as of this point.
And I mean, it's a doozy of a drop, so I mean, you're better to
just chuck it up and
grit
walk.
your teeth and go through it. I mean, easy for me to say. I'd be shitting bricks.
I know you would.
I'd be like, I'll go around, or
Bro, I would have been sitting on that thing and I just would have scooted my way all the way across. That's what
I mean, there's a little bit of a rope kind of situation, so
hell no, there's not. That thing is broken. I ain't trusting that. I ain't trusting that rope.
Yeah, I guess I just wouldn't have looked down, I guess.
But
easier said than done. It's like, don't look down. What do you do immediately? You look fucking down.
But Heracross crosses the bridge too, but stops to eat a little bit of sap out of the tree that it knocked down because it's already dead. So we have Team Rocket come back into the frame, and it's at this point that we find out that they got chased off by all the Pinsir because they found a tree with a whole bunch of sap and they started eating it, and the Pinsir was like, no, that's mine. So they got chased off by it. And then we start having a Pokemon battle. Doug?
Yes. we've got freaking Team Rocket, and they can't help themselves. And they say, we're gonna capture these pincer, and
With our pincer robot.
with our, because why wouldn't Team Rocket have a budget for a robot? And, of course we find out that it's shockproof because, give them a little bit of credit. They've figured out that Pikachu's going to wreck shop otherwise. Oh, it's not so much electric proof, but like it charges it up.
Yes.
But this is when friggin' Heracross, because Heracross hasn't stopped following, since the bridge or whatever. And, because Ash is trying to be like an environmentalist because he's like, my new buddy Woodruff told me that it's bad to pillage the forest, even though I was about to catch 27 Heracross for no damn reason.
And freaking Heracross. So Ash uses his Bulbasaur, he uses Pikachu, and both of these Pokemon are losing to this robot Pinsir. And Heracross is like, you know what? I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna step in, and it's going toe to toe with this Pinsir robot. And Team Rocket is trying to fight it. They can't. Heracross picks up the Pinsir robot, throws it into the air, and when it falls back to the ground, it falls to the ground and it explodes. And when it explodes, Team Rocket is blasting off again. And
so apparently we find out that Heracross is like
hella strong.
World's strongest man strong.
It's at this point that all the Pinsir see what had just happened here. We find out that the Pinsir can mingle with the Heracross, and the Heracross can mingle with the Butterfree and all the other bug Pokemon that are over here. And Ash is like, okay, well, it's time for me to start going over to go get my first badge. And then Heracross comes over, I want to travel with you. And Ash is like, do you really want to travel with me? And he's like, yes. And then Ash is like,
so what is, how the fuck is this any bit of struggle?
Because it is.
Pokeball doesn't move 1 single inch once Heracross goes into it.
Correct.
Not even the customary 3 shakes.
Because Heracross knew that they were linked. Duh.
They were linked.
Yes.
No, Heracross was just the runt, and Ash was too Pokemon blind. I mean, and yes, Heracross comes in clutch here, a few episodes here and there, but I'm kind of with you. I don't know if I would have been itching to catch this particular Heracross.
Well, I mean, it proved that it's really strong.
Yes, but it's still a nerd.
I mean, so? What's wrong with a nerd? We're nerds.
Oh, okay, well, now you're changing your tune. Because you were calling it ugly.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm just not a fan of it. But if I needed to complete my national dex, then I'm going to complete my national dex.
I'm surprised you didn't say, well, I could catch it and just release it. It would still go into my Pokédex.
I mean, it would.
Yes.
So, but that was the end of that episode. But we still got one more episode to go. Right, Doug?
Yes, and this episode was frustrating.
Why?
Because Ash forgot the fucking rules. Well, okay, he forgot them / didn't know them, but also didn't care to find out. I mean, we'll get into it here in a couple seconds.
Yeah. So we start this episode with Ash seeing a Donfan out in the wild. And Ash is like, you know what? I want to catch this thing. And then Brock is like, you know what, Ash? He's like, maybe I should catch it because look at his tucks.
Guys, it's a Pokemon. Let's see what kind.
Donphan, the armor Pokemon. With its strong tusks and tough skin, Donphan is known for its powerful tackle attack. The length of Donphan's tusks indicates its level.
Sounds good to me. Now, I just gotta catch it.
Just a second, Ash.
Yeah?
I think it's better if I capture this one.
What makes you say that?
Just look at those tusks. See how short they are compared to the ones in the Pokedex?
Yeah, so?
It's young, and it needs a good breeder to help it grow. And that should obviously be me.
I'll help it grow.
Don't be selfish, Ash. Think of what's best for that Donphan.
I'm what's best for that Donphan.
Well, I say I'm...
Come on, guys. There's really nothing for you to fight over. The Donphan's leaving.
Wait!
Where are you going?
And so Brock sends out his Onix to battle, and Onix loses. And then...
Onix loses to an infant Donphan.
Yes.
And this is an Onix of a gym leader
Yes.
who presumably won Brock numerous gym battles.
Yes.
But he just got housed by an infant Donphan.
Yes.
And nobody says boo to a goose about it.
Well, we don't know how we don't know the level of this Donphan.
This Donphan, if Brock's assessment was to be believed, this was an infant because its tusks, fuck me, hadn't come in yet. Well, they'd come in, but
Ash found a way to beat Brock in a Pokemon battle with his Onix with a Pikachu.
Motherfucker, he fucking broke the sprinkler system.
I mean, he still won.
He broke
He still fucking won. I don't give a fuck what he had to do. Ash got that badge, didn't he? He competed in the Pokemon League, didn't he?
Oh, that just broke me. Oh my god.
So.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that broke me.
But yeah, Ash goes in to fight Donphan, and he sends out his Heracross to battle it, and then we get a nice little lady who comes in and introduces herself, and she says, "This is not a wild Donphan, this is my Donphan, I should go and start reporting you."
She's like, I'm going to report you. And I said, good, he'll learn something.
So you said he missed rule number 1. What is rule number 1, Doug?
Do your absolute damnedest to figure out if this is a wild Pokemon.
Shouldn't the Pokedex be able to tell him that?
Yes, as a matter of fact. I mean, I don't know.
Because if it's registered to someone, it should be able to say something.
Well, and that was going to be my next thought. Like, I didn't know if there was like a, because we find out later in the episode that she's essentially got a herd of these Donphan. So like, is it official? Like, I mean, I don't see. Once again, I don't see any Pokeballs.
No, and I don't either. But we have seen a lot that trainers that have like herds. They tend to not walk around with their Pokemon with a whole bunch of Pokeballs, which is what I'm starting to notice.
Well, but then she should have had like a collar or a tag. I
was about to say a tag or something, but Ash, honestly, looking at this Donphan, I mean, and just like Brock said this Donphan didn't have anything on it, and its tucks are very, very short. So how was he supposed to know that it was that it wasn't a wild Donphan?
Well, and we find out from this trainer, and I know she said her name, but goddamned if I remember it.
So let me see.
I want to say it was something. I want to say it was either an A or an R name, but I wouldn't put any money on it. We
Rochelle.
could get it to. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And this was her newest Donphan, which which means that Brock was right in his assessment about the tusks being a sign of adolescence. And because she's got this whistle and she blows it at one point because we find out that Donphan are good at searching for a certain type of stone that's valuable. And Meowth knows about it because Meowth is a streetwise Pokemon. And he's like, if we could capture this Donphan, and Meowth's like, well, if we've got a Donphan, they have a knack for finding this stone, and we could bring in this haul, and we could just bring all the profits to the boss, and we could probably knock off some of our debt that we've accrued by using up the company card. And Jesse and James are kind of dopes, so they're kind of going along with it. And Jesse gets pissed because all this Donphan is concerned about is eating because it's a baby.
It's a baby.
And it's a baby. And James is like, well, you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. And so he takes it over to a nice little pile of leaves, and Donphan's, eating its fill because, it's a growing Donphan and it needs to have nutrients. And it gets full, and James is like, okay, now that it's full, I'm sure it will track down this Ammonite for us. And we see that it's kind of sniffing around, but it's just going for more leaves and stuff.
Because it's not trained yet.
And it's a baby. And
it's a baby.
So, Rochelle is, she's crestfallen because, she's let one of her Donphan go, and she says, have you seen 3 people walking around in jumpsuits? And
they're like, that's Team Rocket.
That's got to be Team Rocket. Like, it's like not even a thing anymore. It's just like instantaneous. It's like, oh, son of a bitch.
Not these
guys. They would
guys
quit
again.
following us. So that's when we see Rochelle's like call / whistle / whatever the fuck. And
we see all of her Donphan.
They all come running, except, of course, for the one that's missing. And you're going, all right, why didn't the one that's missing come running? And she's like, well, I just got it. Haven't really trained it yet. And Team Rocket must have it. Well, come to find out, they're in a freaking hole. Because if Team Rocket didn't have bad luck, they wouldn't have any luck at all.
Exactly.
And what happens after the hole?
So after the hole, our heroes end up coming up to finding Team Rocket, and they're like, okay, it's time to Pokemon battle. We're going to get back this Donphan. So they start Pokemon battling, and we find out James's Victory Bell has learned a new move, Doug.
Yes, we did.
Sleep powder.
How that happened, we don't know,
but yeah, his Victory Bell knows freaking sleep powder now. And because Onyx grabs Victory Bell and starts squeezing the life out of it, and Victory Bell's like, meh. And just starts using its sleep powder all over Onyx, and Onyx is like, okay, night time. So it's at this point that Misty finally uses her Poliwag. We haven't seen Poliwag in a while.
For real. I mean, granted, she hasn't had Poliwag forever, but it's still nice to see him pop up.
Exactly. Ash is really starting to train his Heracross, and and he uses his Heracross to start fighting this Victory Bell. And Victory Bell is done. Arbok comes out. They thunder shock the mess out of it. Team Rocket goes flying away, and they save Donphan. And now Donphan is let's see. Rochelle's like, would you like to see how I've trained one of my more senior Donphans to find Amberknight? And they're like, yeah, of course. And she's like, okay, so follow me. So she brings them over to a really, really tall like hill, and Donphan sniffs Rochelle's Amberknight, and it's like, okay, I remember this. And it starts putting its nose up in the air, and it starts sniffing around, and it's like, okay, this way. So it starts walking a certain way, and it comes over to a portion of the hill. It rams its head into it, and out comes falling some rocks, and in the rock is the Amberknight, which is pretty freaking nifty.
It is pretty, and I mean, I reckon she's pretty comfortable for herself. I mean, she's got a whole herd of them.
Yeah, and we did find out earlier in this episode that Amberknight can basically be sold for a crap ton of money. And we had some people in like a daydreaming sequence go, man, if I had a Donphan and I was able to get Amberknight, I'd be rich. And so what?
So yeah, I actually, if I had an opportunity to correct myself, that's how Meowth found out about Amberknight Stone and the Donphan. I mean, I reckon he probably would have come across it just in his connections, but it was kind of because Meowth was kind of eavesdropping.
Yes,
but we end the episode because after Ash tried to catch the baby Donphan, and Rochelle kind of let him off with a warning, which I don't know if she should have.
Well, they're friends now.
Slap on the wrist or something, a fine or something. But Ash was kind of like, why don't we battle? And she's like, well, I don't know if I want to battle with this one. I haven't had it that long. And then,
but she bites the bullet
because she's like, oh, thank you so much, and she gives him a little bit of Amberknight, and she's like, is there anything else I could do? He's like, how about a battle? And he's like, how about that big old fucker with the tusks? And she's like, well, all right. And
Ash should have knew better.
He should have, but the poor kid had a hard on for some battling, and freaking poor Heracross got rolled up on and got smacked into a tree and got distracted by the sap.
Yeah.
So I guess that Heracross really is Ash's Pokemon. And because, food. And, Heracross comes back. He's like, that was a nice little snack. And then, he tries to meet it head on because, from last episode, we find out how strong Heracross is. And it's a stalemate. And he actually gets the Donphan over his head and kind of, in wrestling parlance, it was a big back body drop.
Yes.
But Donphan counters that into another rollout, and Heracross gets mowed over, and
not knocked out, but he got mowed over.
He got mowed over, and he's down because he took a fucking crack right on the head, and Ash is like, well, that's probably going to be enough because I reckon I know how this is going to go. And friggin' Rochelle's like, I'm glad I could get you off my back. That's fucking... No, she didn't say that, but...
She was thinking it.
She sure was thinking it. She's like, this fucker tries to catch one of my Donphan and then won't stop hounding me for a battle, and
I had to show him and prove to him.
had to put him in his place.
But yeah, so that's basically how we end up ending this episode. Brock is heartbroken because he wanted Rochelle to just stay with him forever, but that wasn't going to happen because she has obligations back on her farm, and Ash is leaving without a Donphan.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would have felt weird if she would have been like, "Here, take a Donphan with you," because that's another Pokemon that he technically wouldn't have caught. But I mean, at this point,
Does
why
Ash
does that
really,
even matter?
I was about to say, does Ash really even catch all his Pokemon?
Let's see. He caught Caterpie.
Yes.
Um,
Pidgeotto.
he caught Pidgeotto.
Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur were basically given to him. And he had Pikachu. He gave away, let's see. He technically caught Krabby.
Well, not technically. He caught Krabby.
Yeah.
He caught Muck. He caught a Mesotauros.
So yeah, he's caught a few.
He's caught a few. All right.
So
I still don't like his methods, but because he doesn't have methods.
no, he doesn't. But all right, but yeah, that's how we end up ending this episode. Now let's go back and start rating some of these, Doug. So I'm going to. So for the first episode, Don't Touch That Dial, what would you give that episode?
That was probably.
I would give it a 4.
I was gonna say I don't think I could go any further than a 4. I mean, it was the first episode of a new series or a new season, however you want to look at it.
And it was a nice introduction into this league that they're getting ready to go into.
Totodile was cute. Professor Elm was funny. Brock was mega horny.
Yeah.
A four is fair, I think.
Okay. What about the Double Trouble header? I'm never gonna get that one right.
For me, probably a 4.5 because I did appreciate the
baseball
puns, and you know, I did like Casey as a character. Team Rocket was almost smart for a couple minutes.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say 4.5.
I would give it a solid 4. I did like the episode, and it was good to finally see like the trainer that had the Chicorita that wasn't in the first episode, and her training methods and all that. So that was pretty cool. What about?
Well, that's another reason I'm boosting that up because I didn't even make the connection that was the trainer.
Yep. And what about a sappy ending, Doug?
I don't know if this is going to be popular, but I'm thinking 3.5. And the only reason it's a half is because he did end up actually catching a new Pokemon.
Okay.
But
I was thinking about like between a 2.5 and a 3, but I'll boost it up to about a 3.
Yeah, I mean, if he hadn't have caught it, it might have been a 3, might have been a 2.5. But I just, I think you have to kind of rate the first episode where he actually gets a Johto Pokemon. I think that has to count for something.
Yes. And then what about Roll On Pokemon with the Donphan? I think this was kind of as filler could be.
I was going to say this was weak. Is 2 too harsh?
I think just like the last episode, a Sappy Ending, I'm leaning more towards a 3 because we are still seeing a brand new Pokemon. Ash got his ass handed to him, even though in 2 episodes ago, he was the one doing the exact same thing with his Charizard. So I would give it a 3.
You would go 3. Okay, then I'll go up to 2.5.
Okay. And that's about it. Wait until the end of this episode, and I'm going to edit in the Pokemon trading card game codes like I did on the previous episode. But just because I didn't do it on the last episode, I'm going to do it on this one. We have some housekeeping, Doug, that we have to go over. So
we do.
Yes. If you are not subscribed to us on Spotify and you are listening to us on the free feed, please go over to Spotify and subscribe to us there. It helps keeps the lights on here. And if you do have that extra coin that you want to come and throw our way, go ahead and subscribe to us on Patreon, because just like we said at the beginning of the show, there's going to be a lot of extra perks coming your way pretty soon. And we have an ad-free movie that we're going to be doing pretty soon. So
yes.
And that will be Pokemon Forever this year. That's our summer movie that we're going to be reviewing scene by scene. If you missed that layout of the way that we do things, we are going to do it scene by scene, right? Are we going to go back and do it like that, or are we going to kind of coast through like we do some of the mashups?
I mean, we could honestly go either way, because
yeah. Well, to be determined, but you'll be able to get that podcast ad free, because I know for our movies, freaking Spotify loves to put their ads in our bigger projects. So if you don't like an ad every 15-20 minutes on the podcast, go ahead and subscribe there for as little as $5 a month, and you can get all of our stuff ad free. But outside of that, do you have anything else that you would like to add, Doug?
I do not believe I do.
All right, then go ahead and say goodbye, Doug.
Goodbye, Doug.
And this is Professor Chris G telling all of you we will be back next week for an all-new episode. We'll be going back to Horizons. So we'll be back for another Horizons episode next week. So have a good night, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for waiting till the end of the episode, and today we are giving away 4 Paldean Fates packs. Again, this is first come, first serve, so please have your Pokemon trading card game open for the best results. Here's the first code. MVZ-BR7CNLHMXP. Second code. MVZQRJ4QLGN9K. Third code. MW9PBTWQZHTDB. Last code. MWGYLMNTKPMQL.